Thank you for watching QTV News. We take a look at stories making headlines in our news. The National Democratic Congress NDC President SUMBWE claims State House wants to arrest him following allegations of drug trafficking he made on Monday during a media briefing. Government has signed a 602 million kwacha grant agreement with Germany's Development Bank for the upgrading of Chishimba Force Power Plant in Northern Province. And President Edgar Lungu has revoked the appointment of George Siame as chairperson of the Financial Intelligence Center Board barely 24 hours after his appointment. And now the news in detail. National Democratic Congress NDC President SUMBWE has failed to appear before the Drug Enforcement Commission DEC, where he was summoned for questioning in connection with the drug trafficking allegations he made against businessman Valded Findlay, a close associate of President Edgar Lungu. Mr. Kambwili informed his DEC through his lawyers that he is unable to make himself available because he is not feeling well. DEC Deputy Public Relations Officer Kamfinsa Manchishi has confirmed that the commission summoned Mr. Kambwili for an interview so that he provide any further information he may have in relation to the allegations he made during the media briefing on Monday. Mr. Manchishi has told journalists that the interview is a routine process undertaken by the commission to validate information that may be of help in any of the queries investigators may have. He states that the commission has an open door policy which allows any member of the public to provide any information they may have in relation to illicit activities under its mandate and treated with utmost confidentiality.
It's a routine process. We just want to get further information and give somebody an opportunity to clarify in case there's extra things that would want to add, and also to just present the information formally to us so that we're able to have a discussion with them. So of course it does not constitute an arrest or anything, it's just an interview that we had invited him for. And then second, we also need to note that we have the Public Interest Disclosure Act, which we commonly call the Protection of Whistleblowers Act, number 4 of 2010. So this also mandates both members of the public and ourselves on how we deal with information that is provided to us, and also how members of the public can provide information, what protection do they enjoy, what confidentiality also should be attached to such reports. So of course it's nothing out of the ordinary. We're just simply trying to take a step to ensure that the information is handled with the due diligence and importance that it would deserve, just as we would with any other report that we receive on a day-to-day basis.
But National Democratic Congress NDC President SUMBWE says he is aware that State House is allegedly trying to find charges to slap him with within the Drug Enforcement Commission Act and thereafter arrest him. Addressing journalists at his residence in Lusaka, Mr. Kambwili has wondered why he is being investigated instead of investigating the drug trafficking allegations he made. Mr. Kambwili says instead of protecting the whistleblower, government is investigating him. He says all he wanted was to advise President Edgar Lungu to explain his relationship with Lusaka businessman Valded Findlay so that he is not misunderstood by the members of the public. Mr. Kambwili has maintained that President Lungu should disassociate himself from Mr. Findlay. He has vowed that he will not be silenced, but that he will increase the volume in speaking on behalf of the Zambian people.
Allah, I think if in this country, people of Zambia, we need to say no to this kind of leadership. I have said, and I want to say it again, we have a wrong chap at the Minister of Home Affairs. And by the way, for your information, police have even said that way. Now, if we know with these instructions, which are making the police look foolish in the eyes of the people of Zambia. You understand? Kamuikateni now na if we know tuanaka. Hence these leakages from the police telling us that this is what we are being taught to do. Our power is sweet, but it must be checked. In those offices, there were people before, and there will be people to come, and there shall be people. You are not there for life. I think I'm now getting upset of wanting to always arrest me on trumped-up charges. Where did I defend the president? advising the president to check the people that is found with, or the people that surround him, so that Zambia does not get embarrassed, is a defamation of the president. I am Superintendent Mugala. I know you have just been sent. I forgive you. And I will not even say you are unprofessional.
Meanwhile, NDC Secretary General Bridget Atanga has announced the expulsion of former Party Secretary General Mwenyam Senge from the party with immediate effect. Mrs. Atanga says the party's National Governing Council made the unanimous decision to expel Mr. Msenge at its meeting. Germany's development bank, KfW, has signed a 41.5 million euro, about 602 million kwacha grant agreement with the Zambian government and ZESCO Limited for the upgrading of Chishimba Force Power Plant in Northern Province. The project will involve upgrading existing civil structures as well as construct a complete new power station with a foreseen total capacity of 15 megawatts. Speaking during the signing ceremony in Lusaka, German Ambassador to Zambia, Akim Bokat, says the project will play a key role in meeting the increasing energy demand in Kasama and neighboring districts. Mr. Bokat has noted the urgent need to implement energy sector reforms to put ZESCO back on a sustainable financial footing, to increase transparency and to foster greater market confidence. He states that only decisive action will help to ensure a low-cost, clean energy future for Zambia, with access to energy for all Zambians. And Finance Minister Waryangandu, who signed on behalf of the government, expressed gratitude to KfW for the continued support towards government efforts in both facilitating economic development as well as improving the living standards of the people of Zambia. Dr. Ngandu notes that the benefits that will accrue from the rehabilitation and upgrading of the Chishimba Force Power Station to be financed through the grant include increased access to electricity by the rural population, which will contribute to realizing the strategy of having access to electricity of at least 51% of the rural population, which is currently lower than 10%, and enhancement of hydropower generation in the northern region, which is less prone to changes in climate conditions. He says with the power upgrade of Chishimba Force Hydropower Station, generation capacity will increase from the current 6 megawatts to 15 megawatts, thus responding to the current increase in power demand in the northern province. Dr. Ngandu states that the importance of energy as a key enabler for economic activities is beyond contention. President Edgar Lungu has revoked the appointment of George Chilengwa Siame as chairperson of the Financial Intelligence Center Board barely 24 hours after his appointment. Finance Minister Waryangandu announced that President Lungu had appointed new board members for the Financial Intelligence Center FIC to replace the John Kasanga-led board. In his letter to Mr. Siame, President Lungu stated that he has revoked his appointment with immediate effect and wished him God's blessings in his future endeavors. No reasons have been given for the revocation of Mr. Siame's appointment. This is according to a statement made available to QTV News by Special Assistant to the President for Press and Public Relations, Isaac Chipampe. The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, says it will consider sponsoring a private members' bill for the delimitation process should the Constitution Amendment Bill number 10 fail to pass in Parliament. ECZ Chief Electoral Officer Patrick Nshindano says the Commission expects to have more constituencies created once the whole delimitation process is complete. Appearing before the Parliamentary Select Committee scrutinizing the Constitution Amendment Bill, Mr. Nshindano has also justified the ECZ's support for reference of Article 47 to subsidiary legislation. He says the removal of this article will enable an amendment to be made to the legislation on creation of new constituencies without amending the Republican Constitution. Mr. Nshindano states that the Commission also finds Article 68 of the bill that provides for elections and composition of the National Assembly to be progressive. He explains that this is because where there is a delimitation process, a change to the number of seats in Parliament through a simple amendment would be preferable than amending the Constitution.
And as you know, demographics change. This is in terms of increase in population, but in addition to that, there's issue of movement. And if you're going to have effective representation of our citizens, there's need for those demarcations to be able to happen. And failure to do that, you find that the representatives are not effective because they either cover a very vast number of citizens or geographical reach, as it were. So there is need to realign to those changes that happen so that there is effective representation, and out of effective representation we have laws that will speak to the needs of the people, but also services that will be delivered to the people effectively. So when you have such provisions and the Supreme Law and you're not able to amend, it becomes a challenge. Therefore, as a Commission, this is where we're saying we welcome the movement of this Article 47 into a subsidiary law that will facilitate that when there's a delimitation process, it facilitates for the amendment of the constituency, as it were. We are currently standing at 156, but I strongly believe that after the delimitation process, we're going to have more proposed constituencies coming out of that. And in an aspect where there's failure to amend the constitution, that means that the whole process of the delimitation will be rendered inept. And all the resources that are being spent, which are quite enormous, will also be a waste of resources to basically be another academic process. So where at least this is sitting under a subsidiary law, even where there is no amendment to the constitution, the subsidiary law through the House, through the members of Parliament, you can be able to effect those changes and ensure that the delimitation boundaries are effective.
Zambia Airports Corporation Limited has presented a 5 million kwacha dividend check to government for the period ending December 2018. And Finance Minister Ngandu has commended the Zambia Airports Corporation for the consistency in ensuring that there is proper management and utilization of resources. Speaking when he received the check, Dr. Ngandu says government has prioritized its focus on the development of the aviation industry among other areas. He says this is evidenced by the construction and upgrading of airport infrastructure to provide modern facilities that will enable the country handle higher volumes of traffic and provide the airlines better services and passengers and an improved experience. Dr. Ngandu is confident that enhancing the aviation industry will not only yield good results, but will also attract tourists as well as investors, thereby improving the country's socio-economic opportunities, which will ultimately grow the economy.
Because I think the trend in the past has been to think that if you are a parastatal, you will always be bailed out by government. You don't need to be profitable for you to continue to survive. But clearly, the trend is beginning to change. I think last month I had a pleasant experience like today of receiving dividends from the Building Society, and today I'm also delighted to receive a dividend from yourself. It shows that we have entrusted the responsibility of running this organization, this institution, in the right hands. That both the board is doing its job in terms of providing guidance and watching over the activities of the managers, and in turn the managers themselves are also carrying out their duties as well as they should. And therefore I want to congratulate you for this, and I hope that next year I'll expect something bigger than 5 million. Not that I'm ungrateful, but if you get...
Speaking earlier at the same event, Zambia Airports Corporation Limited Board Vice Chairperson Priska Chikwashi has requested government to consider extending the economic tax-free status given to the airport multi-facility economic zone to Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. Ms. Chikwashi says to help in ensuring that the airport is poised to become the next regional air transport hub in Africa.
From a financial perspective, you may be interested to learn that the corporation made a profit after tax of 80,410,538 kwacha and paid taxes to government in the amount of 3,002,017,930 kwacha. From a safety perspective, you may also be interested to know that during the year under review, our airport in Livingstone, Harry Mwangankumbula International Airport, was bestowed the Airports Council International Africa Safety Award for the best airport in Africa. The award recognized efforts made by our airport in complying with internationally recognized standards and recommended practices and reduced risks associated with airport safety. From an infrastructure perspective, our upgrade projects continue to progress well, with the new Greenfield Airport in Ndola currently at 48%.
The Democratic Republic of Congo has requested the Zambian government to supply it with maize to help address the shortage in that country. Speaking when he called on Lusaka Province Minister Bowman Lusambo, Katanga Province Governor Kiabula Katwe says he and his delegation are in the country to engage the Zambian government on the same. Mr. Katwe has recalled that in 2017, when the DRC faced a similar challenge, the Zambian government was able to render help by supplying 50,000 metric tons of maize. He notes that Zambia and Congo enjoy a warm relationship, hence the reason why they could not hesitate to ask the Zambian government to supply maize.
C'est comme cela qu'en 2017, nous avons connu des difficultés et nous avons fait recours à la Zambie qui a pu mettre à notre disposition un total de 50 000 tonnes de maïs ou de farine en son temps.
And that's why in 2017 we went through some challenges and we had to consult with our brothers from Zambia so that they can help us, and they did help us because they gave for us something like 50,000 tons of maize.
Oui, et encore cette année, le même problème se pose aussi.
And this year we have the same challenge.
Donc on n'hésite pas à recourir à la Zambie.
So we cannot hesitate to meet Zambia
pour voir quelle quantité elle pourra disponibiliser.
To see what is the quantity that they can avail to us.
Afin de secourir le peuple congolais.
In order to help the people from Congo.
Principalement ceux de ma province, le Haut-Katanga.
More especially those from my province, Haut-Katanga.
Composé entièrement des frères, c'est-à-dire des frères ce sont des frères zambiens pratiquement.
Which is mainly composed with the brothers and sisters who are from Zambia.
And Mr. Lusambo has assured the Katanga governor that he will present his request to the Ministry of Agriculture.
And the issue which we have raised, there's an issue of meal.
C'est la question de la farine de maïs.
We'll take it to the line ministry, the Ministry of Agriculture.
Nous allons exposer ça au ministre compétent, celui de l'Agriculture.
We'll tell them that you are here.
Nous allons lui dire que vous êtes ici.
And you have raised this issue.
Et que vous avez évoqué cette question.
And we'll tell the president that the governor is here and he has raised this issue.
Et nous allons aussi dire au président que le gouverneur est ici et qu'il a évoqué.
President Edgar Lungu has been urged to visit hunger-stricken areas to understand the extent of the hunger situation in the country. Independent Churches of Zambia ICOZ Board Chairperson Bishop David Masupa says this is the only way the president will take the advice being given to him to declare the hunger situation a national disaster. Bishop Masupa notes that some parts of the country are in severe hunger dilemma. He has also challenged the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, to start telling the country the truth on the hunger situation in the country. Bishop Masupa has further called on Vice President Nongewina to show leadership on the hunger situation in the country.
But really, we have taken time to watch the hunger situation from other media stations other than ZNBC, which they show. Truly, there are parts of our country that are in severe hunger dilemma. It is for this reason that time and again we have called upon DMMU through the office of the Vice President to just stand and start telling the country the truth, that in this province, in as far as hunger is concerned, we are at this percentage. In this province, we are at this percentage. In this province, we are at this percentage. We are going to bring this issue to rest. So we expect the Vice President to provide leadership on this one. There are mixed feelings. There is a mixed debate The country doesn't know which is the correct position, whether Zambia is in hunger crisis or it is not in hunger crisis, but it is the vice president that can take and rest the
Small-Scale Miners Association of Zambia is saddened by the closure of the SUMBWE copper dump site in Kitwe by Mopani Copper Mines. Association Executive Director Kunda Chani says over 8,000 small-scale miners who directly benefit from the dump site will be left on the street. Mr. Chani says the country is already faced with unemployment and that the closure of the SUMBWE dump site will bring severe economic upheaval. He has told QTV News that there are more youths earning a living as small-scale miners on the copper belt and that such disruptions must attract immediate government attention. Mr. Chani has observed that with youths engaged in small-scale mining, it reduces vices such as sex, immorality, drunkenness, theft, and house break-ins, thereby building strong communities free of crime. Several passengers escaped unhurt after a minibus they were traveling in caught fire at Manda Hill Footbridge in Lusaka. The minibus, which was coming from town heading into the eastern direction, has been completely burnt with nothing to salvage. According to one of the passengers who was on board the burnt minibus, the fire started from the engine and is suspected to have been caused by a fuel leakage. By the time the fire brigade were arriving at the scene, the fire had already engulfed the whole vehicle. The driver of the bus, whose registration and fleet number could not be established, is said to have run away after the incident.
Leakage of fuel. It was leaking, and then there was a short circuit somewhere and the ignition.
So it must be like some fuel sprayed on the engine. So when you try to lift the front passenger seat, that top cover on the battery, that's the one which caused the short circuit. And I'm sure there was some unknown. That's how the fire started.
So now it's necessary to take an effort to establish a former driver's one. That's why we're trafficking about
The Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure Development has engaged AVIC International over the defects that have developed on some newly rehabilitated roads. Permanent Secretary Charles Mushota says his ministry, through the Road Development Agency RDA, has since agreed with the contractor on remedial measures to correct the defects. Mr. Mushota has told Q News that the contract with AVIC International signed for roads such as the Great North, Lumumba and Mungwe roads has provisions for such remedial measures.
Because we are here to, as a ministry, to supervise these works and ensure that the Zambian people get value for money. So therefore, there is no need for anyone to be agitated or get worried that we should go into the investigations, because already the government is aware of what has happened in what has happened in Mungwe, what has happened in Great North Road, and measures being taken to ensure that the corrective actions are taken as quickly as possible. And as we are talking, RDA working together with the consultant, they are actively looking at this matter and ensure that all the defects are corrected as soon as possible.
To end the news, we take a look at stories making headlines. The National Democratic Congress NDC President SUMBWE claims State House wants him arrested following allegations of drug trafficking he made on Monday during a media briefing. Government has signed a 602 million kwacha grant agreement with Germany's Development Bank for the upgrading of Chishimba Force Power Plant in Northern Province. And President Edgar Lungu has revoked the appointment of George Siame as chairperson of the Financial Intelligence Center Board barely 24 hours after his appointment. On that note, we end the news. Thank you for watching.